Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Fierce JPM RxE2 Pharmacist Unbound session. Very excited to be here today to present to you some great information. We have 30 minutes to present an awful lot of information. The key is that you can join us in our virtual booth to get more information or go out to our website to do a deep dive into specific areas to meet your needs. Joining me today is Yaniv Zilberman, but I'll introduce him in a second. I'm Gerald Finken. I've been in the industry for 40 years, and I've learned a lot along the way. During that time, I had the opportunity to start a VC-backed clinical supplies packaging and labeling company, which became the largest packaging and labeling company in the world, specifically focused on clinical supplies. That wasn't enough, so then I jumped out and decided to do it on my own with Mr. Visa, and did that for 20 years and grew that to over 100 employees, 2 different locations in the States, got private equity backed, and then had a couple other locations in Europe and grew that to a $250 million business. And then I moved on to create the next best thing that we're going to see, and that's going to be RxE2. Yaniv, if you would introduce yourself, please.
Thank you, Gerald. So I'm Yaniv, the CEO of RxE2, more than 20 years in enterprise software solutions companies, usually mostly in roles that setting up organizations and putting them up to scale and run from there. My last role was in Pontis. I headed the professional services, customer support, customer success, production, all the post-sales activities, basically more than 100 people, and get it ready for acquisition. We were acquired by Amdocs, and afterwards I decided to leave and to open and to start with my partner, Yoav, to start the RxE2. And we'll talk about it in a minute.
Great, thank you so much. Let's jump into this. So RxE2, if you haven't heard of us, you will be hearing of us, is Rx for pharmacy, E2 is for everyone, everywhere. And the goal here is to incorporate the practice of pharmacy into clinical research so it becomes a viable healthcare option to everyone, everywhere. And I don't mean in geographic locations, I mean to every corner of the world. And we're doing that by bringing in the pharmacists and pharmacies from around the world. And the idea behind that is everyone, everywhere, is to make sure that we have a diverse and general population to get information from and to make them aware of clinical trials. Specifically, we're calling this Pharmacist-Led Everyone Everywhere Trials, or Pharmacist-Led Trials. The key here is to understand, as we think about pharmacist-led trials versus current clinical trials today. In current clinical trials today, there's a multitude of people interacting, but the key relationship is doctor-patient relationship. But if you think in the commercial world, that's different. In the commercial world, it's the doctor-pharmacist-patient relationship that ensures the safety and quality and patient outcomes in the commercial world. So all we're doing is a simple little thing of bringing the pharmacist into clinical research to create the triad of the doctor-pharmacist-patient relationship. And why not have that, right? Why not have the medication expert involved in clinical trials, the pharmacist? So we look at the industry today. For 40 years, I've followed this, and it hasn't changed in 40 years. The development time, the cost time, we know that 9 out of 10 drugs fail, to get from phase 1 to approved. And that's really unacceptable, correct? All of us, we know that. We know we need to change. So for us, we're going to focus on that 9 out of 10 failing. And that's what we're going to talk quite a bit about, and Yaniv will continue it further. So for us, what we believe that based upon great protocols, looking at those novel medications starting in phase 1, with the pharmacist involved, we know we can get 5 out of 10 drugs approved. And that's not just a hope for. It's based upon the experience that I've had in the industry, the things that we've already done in the industry, my pharmacist counseling patients in the industry, what I've seen in clinical supplies. I know we can achieve that, but I can't do it alone. And that's what Yaniv is going to talk about in a little bit. There's three key areas when we talk about the quality, and because that's, again, critical, because I think it's really the quality of the studies that we perform is how we're going to get more drugs approved. And it starts with the patient. And I want to pull a couple things about that. Patient centricity is a term a lot of people use. We're going to change that around. We're going to refocus on the patient, concentrating on the most important thing, and that's the patient trust. And the pharmacist has been one of the #1 trusted professions for decades, for 40 years, and now right up there with the nurse. Even more so, well, more trusted than the doctor-patient relationship. The other thing is we're involved in the patient's environment. We're there. Pharmacist speaks patient language in the community, and that's what we're going to tap into. So we're going to be in the patient's environment, not having the patient come into our environment or to bring our environment into the patient's home. And we'll talk more about that as we move on. Of course, what really this is going to do is better quality results. And when I talk about this, it's diverse information. We have a diverse population. We're going to get diverse information, which then leads, one of the key things we're going to be talking about is we capture a lot of data and we get a lot of information from that. And that data then goes to the FDA and we get approved. But why are we over 40 years, right? 9 out of 10 drugs still failing? I believe it's because we don't take that data to information and create knowledge and wisdom. And we're going to change that. With us bringing the practice of pharmacy in, we're not going to be siloed. In RxE2 is not going to be siloed where we have like one doctor in one location, another, or a pharmacist one location, another pharmacist another location, and they don't talk. We're going to make sure we have a community of pharmacists to collect community knowledge so that pharmacists continue to grow in their knowledge and expertise, and we as a corporation and we as an industry learn and grow so we can get more medications approved. And with that, I'll turn it over to one of the best parts of this, from a service, RxE2, to now the technology with Niamh. So Niamh, take it away.
Thank you. So Habitu, and what does, here it is, okay, good. So Habitu is an AI-based solution, basically, that is enabling distributed trials management. And I know it's something new, and I will explain what distributed trial management is. And we do it across patients' life routines and with different points of care. So this is in a very high level, and let me explain. So we all familiar with the traditional trials. Everybody familiar with it. This is where the patient actually received all the services in the trial, whatever he needs to do, in a single location, basically, in the medical center, in the hospital. The main advantage in this setup is that is basically good for the study. This is the main advantage of it. It's easier to operate. Everything is in one place, very easy to operate. However, for the patient, as we know, he has to travel, he has to spend time every time he needs a visit, every time he needs an assessment, dispensing, he needs to come to this hospital. Mostly he knows the physician, the PI, but probably is not familiar with the rest of the staff over there, so he's getting into something new. And with COVID-19, wow, he is not allowed even to get to the hospital, or he doesn't want to be there because it's pretty dangerous for him. So we're all familiar with it and the challenges that we are facing. So in recent years, I mean, we are talking about decentralized trials for many, many years, and recent years, and since obviously the COVID-19 came out, we are talking about decentralized trials or hybrid trials. And basically over there, as you know, we keep the patients at home. Okay, they don't have to come to the hospital. Drug is shipped directly to their homes. Visits are done remotely via video, televisit. Clinical data is collected remotely via wearables. So he can stay at home and we bring the trial to the patient. However, as we know, this solution is good solution, but it also has its challenges. So not everything can be done at home. And sometimes you have to send a nurse to the patient's home, and it's pretty expensive. Some of the treatments cannot be done at home, and obviously needs to come to the hospital or to other places. Most wearables that we are familiar with are consumer ready, but not necessarily clinically approved. So there is some more advancement that need to do over there. Video is great, but sometimes, patients want the personal relationship, the human touch, and they want to talk to people, not just over the video. And lastly, some we heard even complain about prefer not to have the trial coming to my home and have the staff at my home doing everything, and I need to get ready for that. So this is where we come in, and we're going to talk about the distributed trials. And what distributed trials are, these are basically the distributed trials that are across points of care. And the idea is to provide trial services by the local healthcare providers, those ones that actually the patients know and trust already. It's my community pharmacist who knows me and my family for 15 years, or the GP whom I trust, or the nursing or the nurses that I know in the nursing clinic near my home. So obviously the site will remain and provide services that only it can provide, but the other services can be provided by others. So this kind of a setup is what we are providing and enabling. So to provide the patient with the support that he needs from the people who he knows and trusts for many, many years.
Not to belabor it, if I could, jump in. But the idea there, see the triad, patient, doctor, pharmacist, triad. Sorry, don't interrupt. Please keep going, Yaniv.
This is exactly it. Something not less important, obviously, it's in my neighborhood. So it's close to my home physically, and it's part of my routines anyway. I'm doing things anyway in my community and in my neighborhood. And it's close and it's comfortable for me with or without the COVID. So definitely something to think about. And this is what actually Habitu brings. And this is what the technology that we provide. First of all, our technology is to enable, to quickly certify and to onboard hundreds or thousands of local healthcare providers. Just imagine the ratio between the number of hospitals that we have today and the number of healthcare providers that are going to be in the community. We have technology which enables network and process management, and to be able to control these distributed patients, pharmacists, physicians, nurses, clinics. It's a big network that need to be controlled and monitored, and this is what we provide with our technology. And our technology assures a standard of service which fits the different scenarios that the patients and the healthcare providers are getting into those different scenarios. So this is what we do, and this is the distributed trial that we provide. Okay, so I mentioned trials across points of care and across life routines, as we see challenges in clinical trials every day today. So life is dynamic with our family, our work, our health issues, obviously, COVID that came out. So life is very dynamic, and people and patients, they have their own lives to run, like all of us. But clinical trials, as we know them, they are not. And patients need to change and to change their life routines to the needs of the trial. And this is how we know it, and this is how it was done for many, many years. And this is where we come in. So Habitu, in order to enable distributed trial with standard of service, intervene and adapt to the patient's life routines. So for example, one patient prefers to meet the PI in the hospital. Another patient prefers to have his own GP and to work with the GP. Or another example, one patient prefers to be reminded 3 times a day to take the pill. Another never forgets, and hate those alerts. He doesn't want any reminders. One patient prefer to have morning visits, for example, and to go to the pharmacist in the mornings, and some other prefer in the evenings because he's wake up early in the morning and go to work. So everybody has their own routines. Everybody has their own way of running things. We are all different, and we need to be treated differently in the trial, so we will be part of it and keep on being part of it. Okay, how do we do it? So how do we do that? So we are providing the means actually to manage the trial and to manage the connections between the different stakeholders. While doing so, we are collecting much data. And this data can be operational data, clinical data, behavioral data. And this is something very unique that we bring with this behavioral data. Then, by analyzing the different activities that we are managing and the interactions and the discussions and all the communication that is done between the different stakeholders, we use machine learning actually based on structured and unstructured data that we collect. And based on it, we identify changes and decide, and the machine decides when to intervene in due time in order to adapt and to accommodate to the life routines of the patients. So, as a whole, we provide an application to the patient and to their care circles. So these care circles, actually their spouses, caregivers, anyone that the patient decides that he wants to join the trial and to support him. So they can get a user password and get on the application as well. Via this application, we provide the patient and his care circle with operational information, with the trial information. We provide them with support, reminders. We provide them with preparations that they need to do for any visit. We provide them with professional guidance, with direct channels actually to the professional staff, to the healthcare staff. We provide all the support that they need from their family and from their close community, so they can ask questions, they can get respond, and so on. So we are focusing on the operations from the trial perspective and what the trial needs, but we also provide the other support, the human support, the community support that the patients need in order to keep on and do what they need to do in the trial. So this is what the patients get. The healthcare providers, they get a system on their desktop for monitoring and they are getting over their prioritized indications and alerts. Whom do they need to assist? Whom do they need to approach to? According to all kind of escalations that the system does based on behavior and patient behavior or changes in routines or challenges in those areas. The sponsors, they get reports, dashboards, actually showing all the progress, insights, sentiments in their trials, trends in the trial. So they have the overall look how the progress, how the trial is progressing, and to see how well it is, or where are the challenges and where to approach. Okay, so basically this is why RxE2 and Habitu, and this is why we have this a great match. Actually, we share the same vision of trials supported by the community, by the local healthcare providers, the pharmacists in Gerald's world, the importance of the patients and the patient's behavior and life routines, and why we should be part of it and accommodate to it. we both are counting on the human touch and the strong relations between the community pharmacist and the patients, but with technology to support doing it at standard of service and at scale. And we are both believe in the data and in the data that can be turned into information and into knowledge and eventually into wisdom. And pharmacists bring a lot of knowledge and a lot of wisdom, and this is what the technology will enable in order for it to flourish. So Gerald,
I want to add to that.
is yours.
Again, being with pharmacists, again, services and technology coming together, it's important to understand how that's going to work and move into the future. The platform that we needed when we get into it, and please look us up, go to our website, we needed more than just a data collection tool, that the platforms that are out there. We need to be able to go and have the information to knowledge. The pharmacist needs specific information that isn't collected in the current platforms that are out there. We needed a new platform, which Habit2 has absolutely provided us to be able to then communicate with the other healthcare professionals, and most importantly, our relationship with the patient. So you can see, again, this services and technology coming together. So I'm excited to tell everybody at the end of this that right now, anybody who's attended, you're the first one to hear this, because of what Habit2 provides, we've decided to acquire Habit2 and bring them on board. Because Yaniv said, one of the things we found out, we have the same focus and the same vision, bringing the service and technology together to provide you with one solution. And we're very excited to make this announcement. And Yaniv and I can't wait to explain further about what we can do for you. So what does it mean for you? We're going to get you more medications approved. Additionally, as we get into the details, we're going to commoditize clinical trials to move to a project-based pricing to subscription-based pricing. And I want you to hear about that because we're going to have a webinar, a Fierce webinar at the end of February. Join us. Like I said, go to the virtual room, go to our websites. It's going to be a unique opportunity for you. And of course, like I mentioned, one of the things is the AI-powered efficiency is going to be continual learning. And that's going to be where we're going to really take a look at the other aspects of create more than efficiency. So with that, Yaniv, I want to thank you for joining me and shake your hand, partner, right? It's great to be on board. And thank you for joining us.
Definitely joining. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.